Look, I don't want to get in too much into that, but I think the minute you play the Hitler card,
That's what I think.
you've lost the argument.
Yes.
And also, I must say,
Bill Maher has Piers Morgan live on the Club Random podcast, and him and Piers Morgan had a conversation about Bill Maher's supposed friend, or they're probably not even friends anymore for all I know, Larry David, which is the director of Seinfeld, and he was also in the HBO show Curb Your Enthusiasm, which I liked. I'm not really too crazy about Seinfeld, but I really liked Curb Your Enthusiasm. I thought that show was pretty funny. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about that. But anyways, in this podcast here on Club Random, they talked about Larry David because he made some comments about Bill Maher having dinner with Donald Trump. And apparently it's just taking a bunch of people by surprise, including Bill Maher's friend Larry David. And like I said, I don't even think they're friends anymore after some of the comments that Larry David had made about him, which, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with Bill Maher having a dinner with Donald Trump. I mean, I think that's just a pretty normal thing, just two guys having dinner together. It doesn't have to be political or turn political or anything like that. It should just be a normal dinner. But obviously, to Larry David, it was not a normal dinner. He had to look at it another way. But anyways, let's get into this clip here where Bill Maher has to destroy his old friend Larry David for some of the comments that he made about having dinner with Donald Trump to Piers Morgan live on the Club Random podcast.
I don't want to get in too much into that, but I think the minute you play the Hitler card,
That's what I think.
you've lost the argument.
Yes.
And also, I must say,
Let's talk Larry David, because you're friends, aren't you? Were you friends? Are you friends?
Yes, of course. I mean, this wasn't, my favorite moment of our friendship, but, come on, man. Hitler, Nazis, nobody has been harder about and more prescient, I must say, about Donald Trump than me. I don't need to be lectured on who Donald Trump is. Just the fact that I met him in person didn't change that. And the fact that I reported honestly is not a sin either. But, to use the Hitler thing, first of all, I just think it's kind of insulting to 6 million dead Jews, who, like, that should kind of be in its own place in history. And, I know people can say, well, we're just comparing it in this way. Well, it's an argument you kind of lost just to start it. It's just, look, maybe it's not completely logically fair, but Hitler has really kind of got to stay in his own place. He is the goat of evil, and we're just going to have to, I think, leave it like that. So, did I think that was appropriate? No, but people have the right to.
Did you know he was going to do it?
Of course not. And people.
So how did you find out?
Somebody, my publicist said, this is going on today and you should know it. And I was like, oh, okay. Have
you had any contact with him since?
No. And that's okay. Look, my whole reason to go to the White House, I said it right at the beginning of the speech I made about it, was, talking to Kid Rock right here, and we were just like, there's got to be a better way than just hurling insults from 3,000 miles away. I mean, maybe, nothing will come of this, but what I know nothing will come from is pretending to ignore the person who has all the power. Democrats have no power. So to think that your method of running out of the room screaming, I'm not talking to you, maybe my thing has a 1% chance of succeeding. Yours definitely has 0.
Not 0. And the final thing I'd say about the Larry David thing is I read it and I was just like you, the moment I saw Hitler, okay, I get it. It's that very tired old trope. In fact, on your show once with Jim Jeffries, he told me to fuck off on your show when I said Trump is not Hitler. He hasn't been responsible for the death of 12 million people, including 6 million Jews in the Holocaust. And ever since then, I've just thought every time I see it, this is a ridiculous analogy. But the thing about the point people made on social media about Larry David was that he's been conspicuous by his silence since October the 7th, for example, not said a word. You've been conspicuous by the support you've given Jewish people on your show.
And the state of Israel.
Yeah.
And also tearing a new asshole to the what do they call them? I used to call them that, useful idiots, who take up the cause of some of the most illiberal people in the world. And I'm talking about Hamas, where they are now, finally we see these protests from the from the people in Gaza against Hamas, because of course, when the useful idiots talk about oppressors, who's really the oppressor of the people of Hamas?
Bill Maher just lays it out in a way a lot of people are just too scared to. Comparing Trump to Hitler is just really a lazy argument, offensive, and totally just kills the whole conversation or debate before it even starts. And I wouldn't say he's really necessarily defending Trump. He literally says no one has been tougher on him than he has, which I've heard him say that on multiple podcasts to multiple people. But when someone pulls out the Hitler card, it's like the whole debate just gets shut down. Bill Maher says it's not just bad logic, it's disrespectful to 6 million Jews who were murdered in the Holocaust. That tragedy stands alone, and using it as a political jab just waters down the whole meaning. He also pushes back on people like Larry David, who criticize him for just even sitting and having a conversation with Trump, saying that ignoring someone who holds power does absolutely nothing. Bill Maher's point is simple. You can hate Trump all you want, but pretending he doesn't exist or acting like screaming insults from a distance away is a strategy. It's not. Trying something different, like having a conversation, even if it goes nowhere, still has more of a chance to work than just yelling and walking out of the room. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about this.
It's Hamas. That's who puts their own people purposely in harm's way. That's their whole strategy, is like, well, we can't win this war militarily. The way we can win this war is get enough of our own people killed on purpose so that world opinion, the useful idiots, will fall for that and blame Israel.
That is the whole strategy.
That is the strategy. And some people are clear-eyed about that, and many people are not.
Do you think if you're going to write op-ed pieces for the New York Times attacking you for effectively sitting for dinner with Hitler or the new Hitler, you should perhaps be a little bit more vocal in the area we've just discussed about Israel and the Jewish people, rather than have a deafening silence about that? I mean, people are accusing him of moral cowardice and hypocrisy.
Well,
Play the Hitler card, but won't actually talk about the ones who are probably the most similar to the thinking of Hitler, which is Hamas, who want to kill all the Jews. You get my point.
That is an interesting irony. Yes. Look, I don't want to make this constantly personal with me and Larry. We might be friends again. I don't know. I can be. I can take a shot, and I also can absolutely take it when people disagree with me. That's not exactly the way I would have done it, but again, let's go. The irony. Let's go back to what my original thing was. There's got to be a better way than hurling insults and not talking to people. So, if I can talk to Trump, I could talk to Larry David too. I could talk to anybody. I do it right here. I will talk to almost anybody.
If he was sitting here now, what would you say to him?
I'd say, Piers Morgan kept trying to ask about you, and it got over the top. So I said, so yeah, that's it.
Who wouldn't you want to have sitting here?
Oh, there are people who are just, pointless, to the Klansmen or, neo-Nazis or things like that, plainly are beyond the pale. There's no argument.
The Kardashian?
They've been here. Chris has been here. It's a case by case basis, but basically, there are one of the problems with the far left is that their ideas of purity are so unrealistic, if nothing else. In a country where Trump did win 2 elections.
Yes.
You just can't write off. I saw it after the election. There was a lot of people who, some I know and some are friends, but their whole attitude was, we're a bad country. That's what it is. We have nothing to be sorry about with the way we ran our election, or it's just we thought the country was full of good people, and they're actually full of really shitty, horrible people, deplorables. That whole thing, calling them and thinking of them as deplorable, and I just don't think of a Trump voter as necessarily deplorable. He could be, absolutely. And so could someone who voted for Kamala Harris be deplorable in their own way. Now, it's also not equivalent. I make no fuzz on it all the time. I'm very clear about it. I think the right is more dangerous. I think what's going on in this country is a shit show. I mean, shout out to my writers, because we have been as hard on Trump as we ever have. The stuff we do, I mean, if you think I'm the guy to avoid because I'm not going to be hard on Trump now, you're missing actually still, excuse my immodesty, the sharpest, hardest, funniest taking down of MAGA Nation and the right. And the thing is, I'll also do it on the left but they're not in power now, so they're not getting as much from me as they shouldn't.
Did you hear from Trump after your monologue or after the dinner?
I'm not going to comment on any of that. I mean,
I'll take that as a yes.
I mean, we're not buddies.
I think in the end, Bill Maher is just keeping it real here. He's not defending Trump. He's been one of Trump's biggest critics, but he's calling out how ridiculous and lazy it is to constantly compare Trump to Hitler. Bill Maher is saying that this extreme purity culture on the far left, where just sitting down, having a conversation with someone they don't like makes you the enemy, is getting out of hand, and Bill Maher is just pointing that out. He'd rather talk things out, even with people he disagrees with, because ignoring them just won't change anything. He calls it like this: some people on the left looked at the last election and decided the country was full of awful people, and just because Trump won, the attitude doesn't solve anything. You can hate Trump's politics without writing off everyone who voted for him. Bill Maher isn't saying the right doesn't have problems. He actually says they're more dangerous right now, but he's also not going to sit down quietly when the left messes up as well too. He's going to call that out as well too. At the end of the day, he's all about an honest conversation and not letting any emotion override just the reality of it. I mean, I think Bill Maher is just being one of the more rational Democrats here that can actually sit down and just have a normal conversation with Donald Trump. And obviously Larry David did not like that, and he had things he had to say about Bill Maher, but obviously not to his face, and Bill Maher just had to say it how it is. Let me know what you guys think about this video in the comments. I'll see you guys on the next topic.